Hey guys, Mike Toy with Bonsai Boise. So I'm going to work on this Oakleaf Sumac that I've had for going on about 4 years, 3.5 or 4 years. Oakleaf Sumac, the scientific name is Rhus trilobata. Rhus as in R-H-U-S, trilobata, is a shrub. And honestly, I don't know why more people don't use them as bonsai. I haven't seen any videos or pictures out there. I haven't looked recently, but anytime I've ever looked, nobody out there is using these as bonsai. I have a suspicion as to why, which I'll get to in a minute. But otherwise, I don't know why more people don't do it, because they have all the characteristics that you would want in a bonsai, plus a few that you would not want in a bonsai. So follow me, let's dive in as I do some trimming to this guy. I'm gonna use a toothbrush and some soapy water and clean off some of the green algae stuff around the base of the trunk. And then I'm gonna repot it out of this into an actual bonsai pot. It's been in this training pot for about that whole time, about 3 years now. So follow me and let's get to work. All right, I'm back. So, Oakleaf Sumac. So I'm gonna give you a close up here in a second, but some characteristics that it has that are great for bonsai. One, the bark on it. The bark is really textured and it's rough looking. It just looks like an old tree when you look at it. You probably can't see from where you're at, but here in a second, I'm gonna give you a close up. So the bark on it is fantastic. Two, the leaves are great. It's, I'll post a picture here so you can see it since it doesn't have leaves now, but the leaves are fantastic because they're small and they're extremely colorful in the fall. So they have all these vivid colors and, I mean, they're just fantastic. It's everything you would want in a bonsai tree. The fact that it's a shrub makes it, I think, a little extra hardy. At least in my experience, shrubs tend to be a little more hardy than some other trees because, you know, they're shrubs. They're meant to kind of just be left alone and hedge pruned once in a while, and otherwise just it's out in all the conditions and, you know, it's a survivor. So it's very hardy. So it's got all the right characteristics for a bonsai. Now, here are some things I don't like about Oakleaf Sumac. Two things in particular. One, when you make a cut of any kind, you can cut a leaf, you can cut a branch, you can, you know, whatever it is, it stinks. So after a little research, I found out one of the nicknames for it is skunk bush, and it stinks. I mean, you can smell it. It's very strong. I'm doing this inside because it's February and I'm sure I'm going to regret it because it really stinks up the place. You'll see what I mean when you get one and you make a cut. It doesn't last long, but I mean, you know when it happens. The other thing I don't like is the sap on these things. So when I get to work on this, I'm going to be wearing these gloves. Why do I have gloves, you ask? It's a great question. Thank you for asking. Because the sap on these things, not only does it stink, but it's worse than super glue. Once it gets on your hands, it's this like, I mean, all sap is kind of sticky and tarry a little bit. This is even worse, and you can't get it off. I mean, for days. Anytime I get a little bit on me, it's on there for days. And what happens is you're working, you get a little bit of sap on you, and then some dirt gets in the sap, and now it's like dirty looking, and now it's like black, and you have this little black spot all over wherever sap got on. And you can wash your hands over and over and over, and I've done it. You know, I've used that orange stuff that mechanics in garages use, and that kind of helps, but you're kind of stuck with it for a day or two. No matter how many times you wash your hands, take a shower, all that stuff. So those are some things I don't like about them. So the plan for this one in particular, I'm gonna clean off the base of the trunk, and then I'm gonna make some cuts. I'm actually gonna cut this back pretty good because this main trunk here is very long and straight, which I'm not happy with. I really haven't done much with it over the past 3 years. I've made some cuts, but you can see there's little stubs everywhere. So I haven't given it very much attention. So I'm going to give it the attention today. But what I really want to accomplish is I'm hoping that when I cut it back, that it's going to back bud somewhere down here and that I can sort of restart it down here somewhere. And so it's less long straight trunk and I can grow a new leader. We'll see. It may take a long time. It may never happen. I don't know. So I've got this pot right here. It's just this plain black bonsai pot, shiny glazed deal. I put those little felt pad things on the bottom like I always do. So this is what it's going to go in. So it's also going to get a pretty severe root prune. It's kind of goofy the way it looks now. As you can see, it's kind of almost like a raft style. I'm not sure what I was going for. I think at one point it kind of came out the side here and was going more like this, but then I don't know if it broke off or it got cut or what. So now it's kind of like a half raft style, and then it just changes its mind and goes straight up. So it's a confused bonsai. It doesn't know exactly what it's trying to do. It's been really neglected the past 3 years. I'm ashamed to say. So it needs some new soil bad. It's green. When the soil turns green, you know it's been neglected. It's kind of been at the back of all the racks each year. So it's going to get some love today. So let's go ahead and dive in and start washing off this trunk. Okay, so here's a closer look at the bark and the trunk. So as you can see, it's almost flaky a little bit, but it's got this really older textured looking bark. And by the way, this is one of 2 Oakleaf Sumacs that I have. I have a second one that is actually bigger and older than this, which I'll put a link for right here. But I've actually had this one longer. I think I got this one maybe 6 months or a year before that other one. So, yeah, so for what it's worth. But anyways, they both have these same characteristics. So, you know, sometimes I like having 2 of the same species so I can know, you know, what the anomalies are for that particular tree versus what are common universal characteristics of that species. So this is a look at the bark and the trunk. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove these rocks and I'm going to try to clean off this nasty looking green stuff along the base here. And all I'm really using is an old toothbrush and some warm soapy water. And it's not even that much soap. Just a couple of drops is all I'm really doing. At least for now, who knows? Maybe I'll get in here and I'll realize I need something more hardcore, but this is all I'm gonna do. I actually have made a video on this in the past. I don't think I titled it Oakleaf Sumac, but I just titled it like how to clean off a bonsai or something like that a few years ago, where I did this exact same thing on this exact same tree for the exact same reasons. It was kind of green and gross looking. I'm just gonna go. I'm not trying to, you know, rip the bark off or anything. I'm just sort of going at a nice, easy little pace here. Like so. And who knows, I may actually, depending on how this goes right now, I may just take it out of the pot and start repotting it first and then clean it off. But I wanted to at least see if I could get this first. These things do grow aerial roots too. The other one that I have, when I first bought it from a nursery, it had some pretty crazy looking aerial roots along the bottom half of the trunk. I don't really think that's a characteristic that I want it to have though as a bonsai, even though apparently it's natural for this species. Still, it's not something that I want it to have. So I got rid of it, and if I, looks like you got a couple aerial roots sort of shooting up like over here. It's just not something that I want. It just doesn't fit the vision that I have for it. The vision that I have for this is more of an old tree, like just a really old and weathered tree, because that's the type of bark that it has, and the leaves, you know, kind of resemble, a little bit resemble an oak, which is hence probably where it got its name, Oakleaf Sumac. Yeah, this is pretty nasty. It's been in this pot for 3 years, at least 3 years. In fact, I think it was fall of 2017. It is now February of 2021, so about almost 3.5 years, I guess. I put it in this training pot, and this is where it's been ever since. They're not super fast growers. That's something else I learned about these. And it's possible that maybe they are just in different conditions than the ones that they get with me. That could be it. But in my experience, they have not been fast growers, either of them. Either of the two that I have. All right, so that's about as much scrubbing I think as I'm gonna do for now. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of this pot and begin the repotting of it. I'll put it in fast forward for this part so that you're not having to watch a half an hour of, you know, me sifting through old nasty dirt. So let's get going. right, so there it is. So as you probably saw, those roots were, that was like the most tangled mess of roots maybe that I've seen in maybe ever, at least quite a while. It was just gnarly in there. And it didn't have a lot of those really fine roots that some trees get, you know, like maples and that type of thing. Didn't have those type of fine feeder roots. Just had those thick, like, I don't know, stringy roots, and lots of them, and they were going in all directions. So it was kind of a mess. So I had to untangle that, and then at the same time had to figure out what to do with it from there, which direction to have it face and how to stand it and that type of thing. So that's why I cut a big chunk of those front roots off so that I could kind of put it, you know, back this way at a lean more to offset this long, straight, narrow trunk. It didn't quite work out exactly the way I wanted it to, but it did a lot, so it helped. So I stuck this rock underneath it here, as you can see, for a couple of reasons. One, for stability, and another so that it would hopefully prevent what happened last time from happening, which is, you know, any part of the trunk that's touching the soil tends to start growing roots. So I wanted to stick that under there so that it wouldn't do that, and that it would start to kind of have some movement. So what I'm going to do now is trim it back. I'm actually going to put the gloves on for this because I don't feel like getting that sap all over me today. I'm going to trim it back quite a bit to offset some of those roots that I just pruned. So as I was looking at it, I'm thinking where I'm going to go with it is right here. And this is actually going to be the new leader, hopefully. I do see a couple of buds right under there. And so that's kind of what I want, because I want it to grow out this way more. And already I can smell it. Remember that, how I was telling you it smells? It is smelling. So anyways, that's where I'm hoping it will sprout some new branches from there. But as what I'm going to call an insurance policy, I'm going to keep a bud on that one, even though it's going the wrong direction, and it's ultimately I don't want to keep that branch. I am going to, just because I can clearly see the bud, just in case this one doesn't sprout. I don't want to lose the whole branch. And then this one here, I'm going to take it back. I think ultimately it's the same story where I don't even really want to keep this back branch, but I'm going to, just as an insurance policy, in case this one doesn't take. Bonsai insurance is what it is. There we go. And who knows, maybe it'll grow in some beautiful way that I'm happy with. Now over here, I got a bit of a decision to make, because I've got this branch that splits into two, which is what you want. But then it sort of comes back together, which I don't want. So I had to think about what I want to accomplish there. I may just take one, and I'm still kind of undecided, but I don't know if I want to take one of them off completely, because it's kind of hard to see any buds. I mean, it's just weird the way that they go together like that. I think ultimately one of them is going to have to go. And I kind of like the movement on this top one. So yeah, I'm thinking that's the one we're going to keep. So let me cut it back to there. And then we're going to lose this bottom one altogether, because it's just, I mean, it's all right, but you know, got to do it sometimes. Boy, does this thing stink. It is just a really sharp smell. Yeah, so there we go. So is it much to look at? No, it's not, but it will be. See if I can get rid of this. This might be too small, but we'll try it. Yeah, it'll work. See if I can maybe smooth it out just a little. And then if you've seen any of my couple of my recent videos, you'll know I've been experimenting with this new type of, I'm going to call it cut paste. All it really is glue. It's just clear glue, but it's been working. I've used it on a couple of maples, used it on a Ficus benjamina. Anyways, let me give you a spin here. So there you go. It's not a work of art right now, but it's set up to be one someday. It's kind of how I look at it when I do these big severe cuts and these big prunes. You know, I kind of look at it like that, like it's not going to be pretty right now, but you know, no piece of art is pretty while you're in the process of making it. It's not until it's done and you're kind of finished with it. So anyways, that's it. That's my Oakleaf Sumac, the Rus trilobata. Hope you got something out of that. If you have any experience with them, feel free to leave me some comments or messages, and you know, we can share knowledge and we can all learn about these things together. So please click like and subscribe, you know, to the channel and to the videos, and you can see updates on this. You can see older videos on this one and my other one, and all the other trees that I work with too. So I appreciate everybody who does, and I love seeing all the comments and conversation there. So anyways, thanks for watching and have a good rest of your night.